The Manson family, California's Mankind United cult in the 1930s. Why are Americans seemingly so susceptible to cult ideologies? Culture journalist Jane Borden hypothesizes that this goes all the way back to the American Pilgrims and that we are still being brainwashed by con artists and strongmen.
Her new book is Cults Like Us, Why Doomsday Thinking Drives America. Good morning. Thanks for being with us, Jane.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Is it true? Are Americans more prone to join cults than other cultures or other countries?
That's certainly what I argue over several hundred pages. Cults are everywhere. It's a human proclivity, no doubt about it. But I do think it's more prevalent in America, in part because of freedom of religion, the First Amendment. And if these groups can get church status, then we don't even ask them to pay taxes, which is attractive to groups seeking power and money. And then also, I think at the macro level, a lot of these forms of cult-like thinking have been with us since our founding. The Pilgrims and Puritans were doomsday groups, were high-control doomsday groups, and their thinking is still with us, and it's their thinking that I trace through cultural American history.
And there's something about the American DNA that kind of props up the values individualism, and you say that somehow, creates anxiety. Am I reading that right?
Cult-like thinking certainly increases during times of anxiety, and we're experiencing quite a bit of it in America right now. People join cults or, again, at the cultural level, ascribe to cult-like thinking during times of social upheaval, technological revolution, and general crisis, all of which are happening currently in America.
So what about believing in conspiracy theories, or you're with a group of people that believe in conspiracy theories? Does that rise to the level of a cult, or are you just, you don't believe the same things other people believe?
I call cults and conspiracy theories kissing cousins. They share a lot of DNA, but they're not the same. One distinction being that to be a cult, but the accepted definition today, requires a group to have a charismatic leader, and you typically don't see that with a conspiracy theory. But both cults and conspiracy theories rely on extreme ideas to pull people in. Both tend to isolate people from their communities. And so we often see them going hand in hand. And sometimes conspiracy theories turn into cults and vice versa. And that's what we saw with Mankind United, which you mentioned at the beginning of the segment. They started as a conspiracy theory and then became a cult later.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So you have the Manson family and you would have Scientology. Very different kinds of cults. Why would you put Scientology in the cult basket?
Definitely want to use the word alleged with Scientology, one of the most litigious organizations in America. People use that word to describe Scientology because it seems to meet the three-pronged definition that's accepted among the anti-cult community. Again, charismatic leader, undue influence, thought control techniques, and financial or sexual harm being done to members of the group. The Manson family is a little bit different. And I will say that one thing I learned from my research is that I think cult leaders exist on a spectrum between domestic abusers and dictators. And so we see cults running that full range. Nazism and Marxism were both considered millennial movements, which is just a scholarship word for cult. At the same time, the Sarah Lawrence cult was just a few people, and the Manson family, of course, was also very small and didn't espouse a lot of the kind of Enlightenment ideologies we associate with modern cults, but certainly had a charismatic leader and was violent, and there was undue influence. So there's really a range.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching a documentary about that NXIVM cult, which was pretty recent, with Keith Raniere, went to jail for a long time. One of the people that was in that group said something that was interesting that you point out as well. No one joins a cult thinking they're joining a cult. They join it with a sense of, I want to do something better and bigger than myself. There's really kind of an altruistic reason for joining, right?
Absolutely. That's part of how cults hook people. They say that our mission is making the world a better place. And of course, people want to make the world a better place. And so that pulls them in, and then that keeps them in. cults recruit constantly because a lot of these well-meaning people do get a bad vibe and they leave. And so the turnover rate is very high. But if you can keep someone around long enough and you can exercise undue influence on them, almost always you can hook them and keep them around.
There are thousands of cults in the U.S. Is the government concerned with this? Do they invest time and energy in investigating them, or should they be?
I think they should be. It's very difficult to target these groups because people join voluntarily. And proving undue influence is also very difficult. In the 80s and 90s, there were quite a few court cases. And what ended up happening is that the American Psychological Association put out a study to figure out what's going on with quote unquote brainwashing, it was called at the time. And they determined it doesn't exist. And thoughts differ today on it. 30 years later. But it's very hard to prove undue influence is my point. And so these groups are tough to police, especially, again, if they've gained church status, then they're protected by the First Amendment. So Keith Raniere, as you mentioned, was taken down because they were able to prove the exploitation. So it's the financial and sexual exploitation. When that can be proved, that's when these groups get taken down.
All right, the book is Cults Like Us, Why Doomsday Thinking Drives America. You can follow Jane on all the socials. Thanks for being with us, Jane.
Thank you for having me.